Well, I'll start obviously by the pride we have in this rivalry game. 59-7. Hadn't had the lead since 1950, and we had talked about that all week, and we're really excited and proud that this is the first lead that we've had in this series since 1950. And so the respect for the rivalry is definitely alive and well in what we do. Now, that being said, I give those guys a lot of credit, for a team that didn't have their quarterback, was nicked up and dinged up a little bit. They came out, had a really good game plan, did a really good job. Obviously got up 10-0, and our whole philosophy was to come out and start fast. And they kind of flipped the script on us a bit. And I don't think we played our best ball, but we found a way. We found a way to feed off of each other. And I keep talking about that complementary football. It's so critical, especially as a team grows. And when the defense wasn't doing quite as well and struggled a little bit in that first half, the offense really kind of honed in and flipped the energy and momentum, especially that right before half. We finally get a pick, and we go 90-some yards and score with 12 seconds to go. And I think that was the difference in the ball game. That energy that created a little bit from the turnover, and then the drive there right before the half for the offense. I think that going into half, that gave us a little bit more, obviously, energy and momentum, but I think it also settled our guys in a little bit more. And I think we came out the second half. Didn't play clean. There's a lot of things we got to do a lot better, but I really do think we were in control and had a better grasp and a feel for what it is we were doing. I give them a lot of credit. It was a hard-fought battle.
Questions for Coach?
How did you see the guys respond to that 10-0 deficit? Were there anybody in particular that kind of stepped up?
No, I think we're figuring out what us looks like, and I think there's us is a little bit more of a calm nature. I think offensively that's what Ben is. Where maybe last year, Dez would have been a little bit more vocal, a little bit more energetic, but I think the calm nature of him, I think, is a little bit more maybe where we're headed towards, and it's kind of similar defensively. Last year you might have had some of those Majay Sanders of the world, and even Kobe, who maybe were a much more emotional type of guy, where now we got a little bit more of the Jabaris and the Hickses and the Hubers that maybe a little bit more cerebral. And I think that we are figuring that out and handling things in a different way, but I give a lot of credit. They handled it really well today.
I know you haven't had time to look at the tape, but you said you're still figuring out what you guys are all about after seeing this game. How far away are you from where you want to be?
Well, we're nowhere close to where we want to be. That complementary football. I mean, we talk about it each and every week. And if you don't ask it here in a few questions, someone will ask it on Tuesday. And if they don't ask it on Tuesday at the press conference, they'll ask it on Tuesday at the radio show about playing cleaner and the penalties. It's an Achilles heel, and it is. Some guys go in there later in the game, and they continue to happen. But there's where we've got to continue to grow. We're going to rely on a lot of those guys that are going to have to go in the game, and when they do, we've got to be able to be clicking. And so I think in the development of how we're doing, where in the past we felt good about 22 on both sides of the ball. When those guys and some of those guys go in there, we can't play clean. It's hard to continue to use them. And I think down the road, to be a great football team, to play your best ball at the end of the year, those guys have got to come on for us.
Having the ability to flip the field is so key, especially in a game like this. How big was Mason Fletcher's leg today?
He did a great job. I give him credit too on the punt return. That was the first. We've been so good in those pooch punts, and right there before half, we're pooching it in, and they don't call a fair catch. And every one of our guys are behind the returner, and so that's going to be one of those ones that's a really good learning opportunity for us. But I think in general, our confidence level and what he can do, and they brought 7 guys after him. They brought 6 to the front side. But where we're really good is when he has to get it off, he can get in a rhythm of 1-7, because that's what we do on a daily basis. And so it makes it really good on our part. He's done a phenomenal job. He's not rattled by the 7 or 8 guys that they tried to bring after him. And obviously the one coming out of the end zone that he hammered and rolled was huge. And obviously the tackle on that was big. Drew Donnelly kind of filling in and taking over that spot for Trey Tucker a little bit. As much as Trey's doing for us, to see a wideout that obviously can run like he can, but then can make the play down the field is where I think we've been a difference.
Chuck, for 18 for 101, is he showing you kind of what you were looking for in terms of being a feature back?
Chuck did a great job. Obviously, there's one of those 18 that stands out in my mind that we've always got to clean up. But Chuck has done a really good job. And I didn't know he went for 101. I knew that going into this, obviously they've done a great job at stopping the run. They've done a great job at loading the box and making it very difficult. And, I thought we had to be able to run the football. I still think we've got to be able to run it better. But I think Chuck is kind of showing us that he can be a little bit more of the featured back. But he can't do it all by himself. And I think that's where, some of those things that are just kind of weighing on me a little bit. Okay, this us, who else is going to be that? Are we going to get Ryan back? Is Corey Kiner? Is Malcolm? We got to have some of those guys that everybody trusts. We can get in there and win games with.
I think Ben started 12 for 12 after missing a couple that first week. Is this more of what you expected out of him?
Yeah, I do. I think he does a really good job. He's done a great job at seeing the field. I think he does a really good job at taking what's there. I still think in some ways we're getting used to it. I don't know. Obviously, we had the tip for a turnover. That was the one pick he had, I think. And those can happen. Obviously, he's a very aggressive, and he's throwing it in some tight windows. And we got to get used to that. Our receivers are got to get used to that. And but yes, I do feel like we are a little bit different, and Ben's strengths are showing.
Did you guys do anything different with Mac Hippenhammer? Any strategy changes with him on that first drive compared to shutting him down the rest of the game?
No, it's just we didn't play well, and I think they did a good job, and they gave him an opportunity to make plays, and he made them. And it's not out of a lack of respect that you weren't prepared for him or whatever. But the reality is, some of those balls that are going to go up, we call them 50-50 balls, and guys that are really good at it, they're not 50-50. He did a good job in the first half, and I think we kind of honed in. Obviously, we picked this kind of very similar throw to his touchdown catch, but I think we picked that one off right there before half that led to the go-ahead first lead for us in the game. But kind of had a feeling that they were going to throw it at that. I think that's what we had seen from last week's game. But he's a good football player.
You mentioned Corey Kiner had another touchdown today. How important is he to the development of your offense as you guys figure it out?
He's a big part of it. I don't know if he got a little bit something late in the game. He wasn't available, or I don't know whether we were worried about ball security. Those are some of those things I got to figure out. Because I'm looking around and Chuck's doing a great job, but it's a little bit more of a pounded situation, and kind of curious as to maybe why we didn't have him in there with a few more opportunities. I don't know if it was a little bit of the hamstring. I don't know if it was something else, but that's where we've got to develop the confidence, in some of those younger guys. And the only way we can do it is by putting them in there. It's kind of like the last couple of series defensively. We, sometimes we get really greedy and don't sub out your guys, especially the back end guys. But front guys always roll. But we had to do it, and it's not always the most comfortable thing. But those guys, in order for them to develop, we're going to need them throughout the year. In order for them to develop, they got to go out there in some of those situations where they're still slinging the football and it's still a game. And that's another one of those spots. I think we did a good job of getting some of those guys. Probably didn't notice it, but some of those Marion Smiths and J.Q. Hardaways and some of those guys that are really going to be big parts of us playing 22 guys played a lot more in some situations in the first half, but especially a little bit later in the second half.
Ivan played well again. How did you think he handled it from a emotional, mental standpoint going against the team?
Ivan is unique. He doesn't show his emotions in a lot of different things, and I thought he did a good job. I didn't see. I was kind of worried. I didn't know if they would have his number or know how to get under his skin, and I could tell there was a mutual respect though, which was good on both sides. But we kind of moved him and played a little bit more as the middle backer today instead of the will linebacker. And I don't know if that's exactly where we stick and stuff like that, but I'm sure it was tough on him. We've been in this situation before with Michael Young and going back to Notre Dame, and I don't think any of those situations are really easy, but I think he handled it really well.
Tyler Scott and Trey Tucker both had over 100 yards today. Could you just elaborate on the performance that those guys had today?
Well, we need him. Trey was out. He only played the first quarter last week's game. Didn't practice a whole lot early in the week. Wasn't sure if he was going to be able to go. He wasn't in the return game for us just because he'd been a little bit dinged up, so it was great to see him get back out there. He's a big part of it, and he was not maybe as part of much of the game plan, in some other, ways that we like to use him, maybe in jet sweeps and running the football, just because of the week that it had. But to see him come back out, on a short week for him and perform the way he did just shows you what a pro he is. And Tyler Scott's continuing to grow. The more we can get the ball in his hands, the better we're going to be. And whether it's in the field side flat where guys got to tackle him, whether it's guys having to respect him, I mean, he's a legit 10-4 guy that, is really developing into a really good wide receiver.
Any other questions for Coach? Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll have Tyler Scott and Trey Tucker next.
Thanks, Coach.
Cheers, Coach.